guess what? Oh, by the way, I'm going to tell you right now, probably streaming live right now on Facebook, the one and only Kimberly Dvorak is here. She's the award-winning national security and border security investigative reporter for TV, radio, and the print media. Kimberly, by the way, is also the senior foreign policy advisor for the Committee for Responsible Foreign Policy. I'm going to have to dig into that one in a moment. She's a TV correspondent for CW6 News San Diego, as well as One America News Network, and her website, thekdreport.com, and also she gets on YouTube, yes. Streaming live at Facebook, also on YouTube a little bit later on. Kimberly, how are you?
I'm fine, Chuck. How about yourself?
Well, I'm fair to partly cloudy.
Okay.
And before we get into your excellent report, all right, you are the senior foreign policy advisor for the Committee for Responsible Foreign Policy. So why is the responsibility out the window all of a sudden? Is it your fault?
Well, no. What I will say is, perhaps the Biden administration is not really up to the task here because, he's, just underwater in the polls when it comes to anything foreign policy, and that includes the southern border. They just thought that they could, just leave and not be, worried about people who got left behind, and they thought that this would be just a really easy peasy thing to do. Obviously, getting out of a country we've been in for 20 years is a little more difficult than just saying on the 14th of August, hey, we're getting out of here in 2 weeks. I mean, we had, billions of dollars worth of equipment. And, we have the media is kind of giving the Biden administration a little bit of the interrogation, but not much.
Yeah, well, and not much questions that he'll take.
Yeah.
Hey, listen, and talking about the money, Kimberly, okay, yeah. I had a story that I printed up yesterday. Democrat Joe Biden's State Department has claimed that the United States doesn't have enough resources to save American citizens trapped in Afghanistan.
Yeah.
And then here's your report. Well, the U.S. gave the Afghanistan military an estimated $28 billion worth in weaponry and all this other stuff. But yet we don't have enough, and yet, the Social Security chest is running dry.
Yeah.
Wow. I mean, I know that a lot of people are stupid, but, my goodness.
Well, again, I think that, the way they handled this, they just thought they could get out of there, within 2 weeks. And then they could move on and they could, get this $3.5 trillion spending spree passed. And then by the end of September, things would be great and they could all take a 2-month break. That's not the case. That's not what's going to happen. And what I think is kind of concerning about the weapons that we left behind, I mean, there's numbers, 28 million. It's closer to like 83, but, the Biden administration, they're like, well, we need to include depreciation costs on some of this stuff. And I'm like, I mean, seriously? Did the taxpayers get this at the depreciation cost, or do they pay full price? And, it's inconscionable that they left all of this equipment. They did not blow it up. They say they disabled some things, but they didn't blow them up.
And I think that's probably written into normal procedures when you're retreating or leaving an area, if that sounds better. I think they've probably been doing that since World War I, trying to destroy, whatever they could.
Absolutely.
You watch old movies about World War II, and Patton, and you would see where they would have to blow up certain things to keep the enemy from getting into it.
Yeah, because it's the technology that we have that they're after. So, and maybe, obviously the Taliban, they don't have the capability of, taking apart a helicopter, putting it back together and memorizing it and trying to recreate that there. But you can't. Let
me ask you this real quick, Kimberly. But couldn't they call one of their friends from Iran to come on in here and show me how this little switch works here? It's got 5 different positions, and I know one of them's got to start a rotator blade.
Yep.
I mean, surely they do have friends in high places.
Oh yeah. I mean, and you're looking. They've already been selling certain equipment to China and Russia as well. So it's not just Iran. You're seeing, America's enemies, that have the capability of reproducing some of this stuff, purchasing this weaponry. And you've got the General McKenzie that was served on the ground there that thought that, we disabled 73 planes and, and a couple of MRAPs. So we're good. They're not going to be able to use those anymore. But again, it's the technology that they left behind. If you leave something intact, you're going to make it a lot easier for a foreign adversary to come in and learn our technology and recreate it in their countries and then have that. And I can't get over that. And right now, I mean, this is something that, the military ought to be looking into, because they can have them go in and, drone strike all of our equipment. They say they know where it is. They could drone strike it. They could blow it up. And then, you can have the defense contractors back in business, because now they're going to have to, come up with the latest and greatest. And new technology is obviously something that, every country who wants to have have some sort of power or clout within the planet, basically, they're looking at all this. So our technology means a lot. And that's the beef. And somewhere somebody had to authorize the not blowing up part. So did this land on General Milley's desk? Was this on Joe Biden's desk? Or was this simply on General McKenzie's desk? Because we know that there had to be approval for this. And they don't know where all the gear is. And when you ask them, and the White House included, Jake Sullivan of Benghazi fame here, said that we don't know where all the weapons are. We don't have a list of exactly what was left behind. Okay, well, look what happened in Benghazi. So now you're going to look at Afghanistan. That's the new, they're going to start weapons trafficking. Why not? They're going to be they're going to sell this.
Even that four-letter word, I'm going to use it, okay? ISIS, ISIS. They could be selling it to ISIS. And I say, wait a minute, didn't the orange man, Mr. Trump, didn't he defeat ISIS while he was president? And they just went kaput.
Yep.
And now all of a sudden they're going to be buying weapons from the Afghanistan. Wow.
Yeah.
And the other thing is that, we know where all this stuff is because of those fantastic satellites we have up there.
Yep.
The best eyes in the sky.
Yep.
I mean, you got to realize, if you just stop and think, they're selling us a bunch of baloney on this whole thing, because even Tucker Carlson was talking about it with somebody, they're watching every single thing that's leaving there, where it's going. Then they've got the pictures, and I think we discussed it maybe last week, of all of these equipment going into Iran.
Yeah.
Iran, aren't they one of the terrorist countries?
Yeah. Obviously we have sanctions, and they're, a terrorist, basically a terrorist country. But, when you look at what we're doing, and people seem to forget, especially when we had the suicide bombing there, that took the lives of 13, service members. Now that, they again, we had the satellites up there, so they know exactly where this was coming from, and they could follow this truck, reverse course. They could follow it to where it came from, and then it would be easy for the U.S. government to go in and get these guys. But simply randomly throwing 2 rockets into a neighborhood does not mean that we neutered the Taliban, nor did we do anything to stop an ISIS attack or an ISIS-K attack, which, when it comes to terrorism, they're one and the same. So, I mean, you're not looking at things that, people, they have a different ideology and how they're, running their country. And of course, yesterday, we learned that, the Taliban's formed the government, and included in the government are 4 people that were formerly at Guantanamo Bay, and that the Obama administration released and traded Bo Bergdahl for, who ended up being a traitor to the United States. So there you have
Obama
it.
said he's not going to. He's nothing. He's not that important. You can have him. Thank you for Bergdahl, or whatever his name was.
Bergdahl.
And here he is, one of the 4 big leaders. And you look at the Air Force Base now. They've already painted their whole flag on there and their great symbol. I tried to read the symbol like it was like being in a straw maze. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I couldn't get my way out of there.
Yeah.
You may know how to read that stuff. I'll have to ask you about that.
I'll never tell.
I know. I knew that was coming. I told you it was an incoming missile. Yes, listen to me.
Yeah.
But you know, the Republicans. Do you feel? Because I know in this report you said last Wednesday more than 24 Republican senators demanding a full account of what's been seized and how are we going to get it back. And I'm taking no questions.
Yeah.
And then what's her face, Psaki?
Yeah.
You know, wow.
Yeah. Well, the thing with
she doesn't have a way to dodge a question.
Yeah, she does. Circle around. Let's circle around back to that. Well, I mean, the senators. It's a good start to say that they want to have a full accounting of all this stuff. Those weapons, they're never getting back. Those weapons are never going to, unless they survive a bomb attack, which that's not going to happen. Those weapons are never coming back to the U.S. These are being distributed across the region and into China. And when you look at this, you know, some of the more stealthy gear that we left behind and the 4 Blackhawks that we dropped off a month ago in Kabul, you know, those are going to China. And if you think about it, and, you know, this is kind of something, you know, I was talking with a friend about, and they were saying that, yeah, this could be considered payback from the Biden administration because, you know, they didn't go after Hunter and any of this stuff, and, you know, they're looking to get their fair share. So, I mean, the Biden administration's very friendly, so they're not going in and demanding China kind of send back that stuff. So now we're going to have a lot of this gear in China, and that's our main adversary here. And again, it's the technology that they're after. They want to know how we, you know, use our back doors into equipment because they're going to use the same thing. So, I mean, are we going to be worried about getting into vehicles in America one day because they build all these cars in China and they have back doors where they could just hit a blow up button and there it goes? I mean, you got to think about those things.
You know, and it's before, I remember I used to really concentrate with a lot of guests on the EMP, electronic magnetic pulse, I think is what that stands for. That's whenever it explodes up in the atmosphere and it knocks out everything. It runs on batteries, electricity.
Yep. We've talked about this on your show. We talked about this several years ago. We talked about it, Yeah.
And I'm wondering, you know, if now, you know, all the cars made in China and all the minerals and the batteries and all this other stuff, you know, I mean, there is so much stuff that comes out of China. That if they really ever wanted to just bring this country to a halt, you know, they could very easily, I think.
They could very easily. And also, you know, the U.S. hasn't been very, you know, forward-thinking when it comes to the rare earths and minerals because there's a large mine that the U.S. Geological organization actually found, you know, billions and billions of dollars worth of these rare earths that we use for our cell phones, our computers, and even our cars now. You have these chips in your cars. So we're not going after that, but now the Chinese, they've started rebuilding their Silk Road that's going to go right up to the mountains there in Afghanistan, and they're going to kind of, you know, meet at the middle, and they'll get that contract, and they'll start mining those minerals, and that just takes more minerals and rare earths off the market, and that means that we're not getting that in America, so now we're going to have to be paying more for it. But one day, like you said, they could just decide, yep, we're not going to give you any more. And, you know, or we have satellite technology and we're going to, you know, throw an EMP threat out you, and we'll see how well you live, you know, without electricity. Those are very real concerns that the U.S. military needs to consider.
You know, 2 or 3 years ago, Kimberly, I remember doing interviews with, I don't remember who it was right now. It might have been Jim Corey. I'm not sure. But anyway, and it was all of this news coming out about how the parts in our jet aircraft, military aircraft, were made in China. There were so many parts made in China, and so many of the parts had a lot to do with keeping it up in the air. And then remember when those Navy ships kept colliding with each other every once in a while? I think it was the same thing. You know, when you depend upon the possibility of, a country that may turn against you, furnishing you some of the equipment you need to help protect yourself. I think something went wrong there. I'm not sure. I'm not an expert on that, but makes you kind of wonder.
It does. It does. But I mean, these are issues that we need to worry about as a nation. And I'll just say one last thing here that the Taliban successfully grabbed into their arsenal. It's the biometrics. And the United States has been busy coming up with a secure biometric system for a couple of years, so we can actually use this for people who come into the country from, terrorist countries or red flag countries, if you will. And it's facial recognition, but the U.S. was able to get a lot of this information and then names and numbers of all of the people that are in these biometric files, and now to know that the Taliban has this, again, this is something that can be used against us in the future, because now they'll see what we're looking for. So
absolutely. And that's the thing, listeners, remember whenever, I think it was Portland or Seattle, said we're not going to use this facial recognition anymore on these riots, because they were actually recognizing too many of the bad guys.
Yeah,
okay.
Exactly.
We're going to take a break, and we'll be right back. CRN with Kimberly Dvorak, Senior Foreign Policy Advisor for the Committee for Responsible Foreign Policy. Remember the movie Black Hawk Down?
Yes. Good movie.
Yeah. And so now we've just lost a whole bunch of Black Hawks. They were also part of the stock that we had to give up on.
Yeah.
All of this wonderful equipment, and then just, I don't know. It's, could Biden have done anything
worse?
Seriously, do you think?
I mean, there's
anything worse,
Yeah, there was, I don't think they could have done this any more poorly, to be honest. Because one of the other things that the U.S. government, the U.S. military left behind was a Boeing Scan Eagle drone. And this is their surveillance drones. They fly around and collect a lot of, photos and video of what's going on. And that was like our latest technology on the drones. And, just to give you an example how these things will come back and haunt us, well, Russia has now come up with a drone of their own that it flies like a plane, but it's capable of going in and hitting a Navy ship, breaking its back and sinking it. And this is all a drone, and they hit it right in the middle, and they've got this, bomb that goes off, and it, basically, gets rid of the Navy. And the United States has a very large Navy presence. So you start taking those kind of things away from the U.S., we're going to be hurting if we, are allowing this stuff to stand, because it's just ridiculous that we gave this to the Taliban. I mean, I don't know. I don't know how anybody could have done it any worse. That's all I can say. And then it's frustrating military.
And even even I had reports with somebody, Kimberly, what you were talking about, the drones, and they also have it where the ships can pull right up. Supposedly, they're just container ships or whatever.
Yeah.
And they are thinking that the Chinese have these, these how tall those cargo ships are.
Yeah.
I mean, my goodness, looks like a 21 stories or something.
Yeah.
And I saw a report where the Chinese possibly now have figured out how to put missiles in there. And you just think, oh, that's just a whole bunch more, batteries coming over, whatever.
Yeah.
Or maybe they're sending us the medicine that we gave them to take care of people. I mean, something went wrong a long time ago after this most favored nation. You hate listening to that. There's one other thing, listener, real quick, that's very important in her report, is the night vision goggles.
Yeah.
Yeah. They gave them about 16,000 since 2203, right?
Yeah.
16,000 of them. And night vision goggles are very, very important.
Yep. You own the night. It really helps out when you're planning, your attack on your enemies, because right now we know the Middle East, the terrorists, they don't like to fight at night. They never have. But now when they have this technology, now they're going to be able to see an attack coming to them and be able to disperse flee, hide, whatever it is that they're going to do. But yeah, they're going to have that. They have that technology, and you don't have to know anything really. You put them on your head, and there they
that's
are.
right.
So I mean, so
You
again,
just woke up.
yeah.
Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say. So we gave up the night sky.
Yeah, but when you said if you own the night, right?
Yep.
We just woke up a bunch of those old people who used to go out and do disco. You know, when you own the night, that's really it. Well,
yeah.
they
Own the night and own the air.
because they have all those jobs.
Yeah, you own
There
the
you
night
are.
and you own
Hey,
the air.
Kimberly, thank you very much. And so we had a holiday on a Monday, and I think, are you going to be back on a Monday now?
We'll see.
Okay, you let me know. I may be upset or it sound like she's leaving. Okay, Kimberly Dvorak, Dvorak, and the KDReport.com. The one and only Kimberly Dvorak.
Thank you.
We'll be right back.